Hey guys, welcome back to Fiona's Universe, or welcome if you're new. You're about to see me get a new book idea with a whole lightning moment and everything, so I hope that you enjoy. I just came up with the most insane book idea, perhaps, that I ever have in my entire life. I actually need to write it right now. Like, I'm gonna stop everything I'm doing. I'm filming for my crochet channel, and we're gonna write it, and we're gonna start plotting it. Oh my god, because I've been waiting to find this book that I've been searching for in my realm of, like, thoughts, because I don't really want to do fantasy right now, but I don't want to do realism, so I'm like, got this idea for fantastical realism, or like magical realism, supernatural. It is so good. Oh my god, it is so good. That book, it would kill me to read it. It's gonna be emotional. I just wrote this like chunk in my notes app about it, and it all just came together in the blink of an eye. And it was triggered by Haley Pham talking about the wedding people and how, unfortunately, it starts off with the girl who wants to end her own life. And those words in themselves, for some reason, just sparked this wild idea, which has nothing to do with the wedding people. I don't even know what that book's about, but like, wow. I'm gonna make a Pinterest board and a Spotify playlist on my phone, perhaps on my iPad, just for you guys. It's much later now, by the way. This needs to happen though. I told my sister about this. I never tell my sister about my book ideas. Also, I have my retainer in, sorry. Let's do this. Hey guys, it's a few days, a week later since I last filmed me getting the idea for that book, and I'm so excited about it still. I do need an outfit today. Look at this. Still in the pajamas. Still in the pajamas. So I'm gonna put on an outfit and then we're gonna get to some writing. It's gonna be mood writing because I kind of do want to write Project Princess, like, you know, the one. It's in the iCards. I plotted it on here in one day. I wrote the first chapter with you guys and read it to you, so make sure you go check that stuff out. Look at Juder. She's in the window. Don't mind the ring light. But once I get dressed, we're gonna go do some mood writing. I think I'm gonna go with An Ode to Amity because I really want to get started with it. And you guys are probably gonna get annoyed with me because I'm gonna jump back and forth to a bunch of different projects here in the next couple months, but that's just how I write. So once I find one that I want to hyperfixate on for the next month and write the entire thing of, it'll happen. But right now, while we're in this in-between phase, I actually don't know what I'm in the mood for. And honestly, I've mentioned it before, but I don't think it's fantasy. So that's why we're not going to my fantasy series, Project Princess necessarily, or even my dystopian series, because I'm in the mood for something more real life. But with that being said, I did mention that this is like a supernatural story. So I don't know, I love magical realism. So that's more of like the mood I'm in, I think. But we're gonna do a little bit of that, I think. I'm not really sure. But I hope you guys don't get too annoyed with me for jumping around a little bit. Mostly because that's just my process. I'm sorry. Yes, my button's working. Okay, so essentially, I don't know what I'm doing. Is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised? I just got settled and my laptop is all the way over there. Oh yeah, you can probably see that the outfit I decided to put on was different pajamas. So yeah, we're nice outfit from the waist up, but nobody cares. It's fine. You guys are used to it at this point. And I'm on Christmas break, so who really cares? You guys are probably getting tired of me with my I got a new book idea type of content, but I don't care. I think it's kind of fun. Like, I like watching those type of videos, so I'm gonna say it's a good thing that I keep getting these new ideas and talking about them with you guys, because who cares? It's fun to plot books. It's fun to scheme. So, you know, that's what we're here to do today. My camera's being weird. What I've been trying to say for a while is that I wrote the first line of the book. I wrote it in present tense, even though I don't write in present tense, so it was just weird that it came to me like that, but it's not uncommon for me. I don't think I'm gonna write the book in present tense, with that being said, but there's a slim chance that I do. Hi, buddy. They love you on YouTube. They love you here. Oh, you're ruining my computer, buddy. Jude, 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 Jude. And now the other cat is screaming outside. Awesome. Off to a great start here. I will definitely read you guys the first line that I wrote. I think we're just gonna pants the first chapter. Do you mind? I'll read you all the little quotes I have written down. I don't have a lot of like the plot, but it's a very like quote unquote, not quote unquote, I don't know guys, I don't know how to talk. Simple plot in terms of beginning, middle, end, but not in terms of the things it deals with, if that makes sense. Obviously there's a lot of gaps I have to fill in and stuff, but I don't think right now, at least, we're gonna do anything like what I did with Project Princess, where we sat down and plotted the entire thing on my wall, because A, I'm not in the mood to do that, and B, I don't really care to have the whole thing plotted at this point. I think I'm just gonna kind of approach this one differently and write it, not pantsing it, because I don't believe in that truly, but I have the beginning, middle, and end sorted out, and I feel like that's a lot of times all you really need, as long as you have enough like ideas to flesh out the entire book. Also, usually as I immerse myself in a project, sorry, my cat's being bad, I get more and more content for it, so I'm not really worried about that. I've written quotes from like the last chapter, and so like I don't really want to like read them because it gives away like the whole point, and you guys know I share everything on here, but I won't share certain parts of something nameless because it will mess up your experience reading it when it comes out, and I do think that this is the same sort of situation, so I'm not gonna give that part away, but I'll give away everything else because why not? I have no clue when this is going to be published or if it ever will be, so it doesn't hurt. I also feel like this goes without saying, but I've gotten some criticism about, I think people don't share their book ideas because when it comes out it'll be different. That is obvious to me. I didn't think it maybe was obvious to those people who were commenting that, but yeah, books change a lot when they go through the whole process of publication. Jude! She's in a pile of dirty laundry. But yeah, certain elements, little things and stuff, dialogue pieces that I share with you guys aren't necessarily going to be in the final product, but you know that I'm not publishing right now, so I don't think anyone's expectations are through the roof or anything. I just like to share my process of writing because that's what I love to do. So yeah, when things are published, it's gonna be the same book, but things will be different, obviously. That is just a fact of publishing. But with that being said, I'm not gonna pull an Alex Astor on you guys and put quotes on my TikTok and YouTube and stuff and scenes that are not in the final product, because I am not promising those certain things, because she was promising those like when the book was about to be published, and then it was published and people were like, where is this? Right now I have no trajectory of publishing, so I don't think it hurts to share these details, to be honest. And if I'm sharing a scene with you guys in depth or like a moment, you best bet it's in the final project. I'm not gonna release something that doesn't have my favorite scenes and stuff in it, so I'm not doing that for a check. I'm putting my book out there, not somebody else's mismatched use of my words. Jude, could you please behave? No, the answer is no. I need to go watch the footage of what I was talking about with this project when I first got the idea, because I immediately pulled out the camera. I'm so glad I did that, by the way. And I just feel like I need to do a refresher for myself and for you guys, even if I had said certain things, but I don't think I really did. But anyway, let's get right into the details. Right after I lock my cats out of my room. I'm back. I promise I'm not an evil cat mom. I literally just don't want them getting into stuff that they're not supposed to be in, because my room's a huge mess. So when she was up on the window in plain sight, that was fine. But when they're all over, and it stresses me out. Can I just say really quick before we start reading this little notes app thing I did, that I'm so grateful for you guys. Like, I've been getting the most sweet comments on my recent videos, and it literally is what I've always wanted and never thought I would have. Like, I dream big, don't get me wrong, but the people I've connected with here in my comment section are so kind and like genuine, and I am just in disbelief at how much you guys are like liking my videos and kind of connecting with them and getting inspiration from them, and that is exactly what I want to do on here. So it just makes me really happy, and I'm so grateful for you, and I love you. You'll probably hear me say that again at the end of the video, but it's okay. I just felt the need to say it because I've just posted yesterday and it's got so much nice feedback on it. I posted, what did I post? Oh, my writing recap of the year. So that was really fun to film and like reminisce on. Let's get into an ode to Amity. So I will show you the Pinterest board. I think I already showed you most of it, but I've been updating it. I'll show you that later in the video. And then I haven't really updated the Spotify playlist, to be honest, because I don't think this book is going to be really rooted in music very much. Like, honestly, more of like my otherworldly books. I resonate a lot more with music when I write them, but I don't know, like with A Girl Called Love, there was a couple songs that were really inspiring for me, but for this one I feel like it's going to be similar, where I listen to music about or like that connects to the project, but it's not necessarily like a giant motivator, if that makes sense. The Pinterest board, however, I love her. I look at her all the time. And then we have the note that I made in my notes app that I keep talking about and I still haven't read to you guys. I'm so sorry, you guys know I can yap. Okay, let me share the basic premise with you in YouTube friendly words because it is a very dark plot. There's going to be a lot of trigger warnings at the beginning of the book, and with that being said, there's going to be trigger warnings at the beginning of this part of the video, okay? So trigger warning for discussion of suicidal ideation, okay? I think I can say that on YouTube. I don't see why I can't, because it is a real life thing that people deal with, and I think it's important to include a vast variety of, you know, themes in my work. And for this character, it is a very large part of her journey in her life at this point, and she's going to be very happy by the end of the book. And you know, it's just sometimes what you gotta write. It's not going to be easy for me. I have a feeling this book is going to be very, well, obviously very dark, but for me, like, I'm gonna have to get into her mind and stuff, so it's gonna be a challenge for sure, but I'm definitely willing to reach the challenge because I feel like her story needs to be told. I also think I need to say that this is not something that I've ever dealt with to this extent whatsoever, but I have dealt with a lot of the things that she's gonna be going through, such as like bullying and stuff, so that is something that I am definitely going to apply to this character, and also just the concept of being very different and feeling like you don't belong even though in reality you're such a special person. That's another thing I really want to bring to life with her. So let's get into what I wrote for like the summary, but I can't again tell you the last sentence of it because I don't want to give away a major plot point that I definitely don't think I'll ever change. So essentially the character Amity, the main character, the female main character, she finds herself in a graveyard in the first chapter, and she's wanting to end her life, and she essentially encounters a ghost of herself. This ghost greets her and convinces her that, you know, she has this life purpose, she has this goal, and she hasn't achieved it yet, so she needs to keep going. And Amity accepts that, and she's like, whoa, ghosts are real. That's awesome. Clearly there's a lot to life that I have yet to discover, and I do have this life purpose, and that is that she wants to be a writer, which I don't normally self-insert like that, but with her it really makes sense that a book is what she wants to have finished, because she is a very, I don't know the word. She's very observant essentially, and she's done a lot of writing as she's grown up with bullying, and it's kind of her outlet. It's kind of how she understands herself and feels less alone. So her goal is to finish this book that she has been working on, and she essentially is hospitalized in a psychiatric ward, a very inhumane, awful psychiatric ward that I hope nobody ever has had to encounter. Oh god, yeah, it's gonna be really bad. Unfortunately, I do believe places like this out there have existed or still do exist. I don't know that for sure. I have not done my research, but this place that I'm creating is a very unhealthy environment for her, and then she gets transferred and she meets somebody that's not so dissimilar to herself, and he also sees the ghost of himself. So that's an interesting thing that they have in common, and in the end something happens and they do live happily ever after, but I can't say what happens. She is gonna accomplish her goal though, so that's something that I'm really excited to see for her. I'm gonna read the first line that I came up with in present tense, just like it is on the page, but just know that it will be different because I'm going to make it into past tense most likely, because the book is gonna be written in past tense. That's just what I almost always write in, so let's get into it. I think I can say these words on YouTube. I keep messing this clip up and I don't know why, but I'm gonna read you the first line, and it is gonna have the word blank in it because I haven't made the cat's name yet. So just know when I say blank, it's gonna be the cat's name, okay? Cats are rather good at trying to kill themselves. That was what the women told us when we adopted blank, at least. I am not a cat, yet here I am. The cemetery is deadly silent. See what I did there? I am the only source of life here, and I will soon be gone. That's the first little paragraph for you. I'm now gonna read a little quote I wrote about the very harmful institution she first is put into. Or perhaps she's been put into in the past. I haven't decided yet if this is, well, this is something she's always sort of dealt with, like the depression and struggle to, you know, find her place in life. But I haven't decided if she's gonna have been to this place previously and then goes into this new place with those thoughts and, you know, really, obviously really scared and traumatized. But for now, this is what I have about those two institutions, okay? Again, there's gonna be blank in this because I haven't named the two institutions. I'll just say bad place and good place, okay? That's really generalizing, but we're just gonna fill in those blanks for now, just so it makes sense. At bad place, I would scream until my voice was but a memory. They kept me in the seclusion rooms to spare the others. I was an unusable object stored at the back of a dust-infested cupboard, forgotten. I was sedated for no reason at all most of the time. Perhaps to shut me up, though I did not speak a word at bad place. I feel like I already read this to you guys, but maybe I haven't. Only screams, irrational, useless screams. One day, when the sedatives wore off, I was no longer at bad place at all. My instincts suggested that this new room, pale but not white, sterile but not stinging, might have been possibly worse. I was wrong. So the good place is where she's found herself. And I can't wait for her to discover how good it really is and how much it's going to help her on her journey. An extra trigger warning for this next part, and it's going to be her motive for, you know, no longer wanting to be alive. And I understand that this is very serious, so if you don't feel like you want to watch this next part, it's going to be about bullying. I totally get it. You don't have to watch this video about me talking about all these really dark topics if it's going to hurt you in any way. I really don't want you to. In fact, if it's going to hurt you anyway, please don't watch it, okay? So essentially her motive for no longer wanting to be alive is that she has dealt with bullying her whole life, and it's been sort of pushed to the edge with everything else that she's dealing with, and essentially she finds herself in like a very stagnant place where she doesn't believe in herself, and she's living at home when everyone else in her town her age has moved on, and her parents essentially kick her out of the house because she is sort of directionless. Is that how you say that word? Yeah, she lacks a sense of purpose and direction in her life, and that sort of pushes her over the edge after everything she's gone through. So she goes to the cemetery, and that's sort of how the book begins, like I said. But she wants to be a writer, and when she was a young girl in school, she would observe her classmates and write things about them. Not like malicious things or anything, just things she noticed, you know? And because of that, her classmates thought she was a little bit weird and creepy for observing them and, you know, writing about them, which, to be fair, you shouldn't really write about people without their permission, but she was just a kid. She didn't understand the privacy boundaries around that, and instead she would write to keep herself happy and feeling understood within herself. So she finds eventually something she wrote about the main character because she has known him in the past, and he reads it. So that's gonna be a fun scene for me to write because she always kind of admired him even though she didn't have any friends, and she was never close with him in school or anything, but again, he didn't ever bully her like the other kids did. And she doesn't really remember him or recognize him at first when they're in this psychiatric ward together because they're all grown up now and it's been a long time since they've seen each other, and a lot has changed since then for both of them, so there you go. Another really cool thing about Amity is that she's never cut her hair before in her life. She has a very strong connection to her hair, and it's been through everything with her, so she really loves her long hair. And one day when things get especially enlightening with the ghost, she cuts it all off. And it can either be seen as a good or a bad thing. I haven't decided yet, but yeah, I can't tell if it's going to be a traumatic incident that causes her to cut off all her hair, or if it's going to be a revelation about, you know, this is what I want for my life now, and I need to leave this, you know, hair that holds memories somewhere else. I need it to be rid of it. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a cool scene to write as well. This is another cute thing. I like to include, in as subtle of a way as I can, a little nickname that the male main character will have for the female main character, or vice versa. And for this, he's gonna call her My Girl, which low-key cringes me out, but I think it's really cute if used properly. And she recognizes that she's never been anybody's before, not even her family's, so that's something I wrote down. And that name means a lot to her. I also wrote this little dialogue quote between the two of them, and he's going to say, "I see things." She asks, "Scary things?" He says, well, he shrugs, "Myself." So you could say that seeing himself is a scary thing or not, but I don't think he's very afraid of it, to be honest. I can't say too much about this next part, but this is one of the last things I wrote. And it's that there's going to be a sort of haunting element, which is a little bit comedic almost, and it's going to be getting back at somebody who has wronged the two main characters, and some payback for that, which is going to be fun for me to write. And it also has to do with the motive for the end, which I can't say again because I want to keep that a secret as much as I can, because maybe someday I'll do like a plotting video where we are fully open about the plot of this book, but to be honest, I do really believe in this one, and I would really love for it to be out there someday, and I don't want to give away the ending because I feel like, although I know a lot of you probably would still read it, I want you to have the experience of, oh my god, what just happened? And honestly, I think it's going to be very emotional, so I want to share that sort of emotional response together. And one of the main quotes I just wrote at the end of this little notes app is, "I did it, it's been accepted," and that's about her book. So she's gonna have some really big successes here once she accepts that she needs to go forward with her life, and she's gonna find some real happiness regardless of the end of the book. Let's talk a little bit about the title and how I came up with the title, because you guys know, if you've been here, my camera just cut me off and I'm not sure why, but I was saying that my how to title a book video recently came out, and I don't know, maybe some of you don't know that, but if you haven't, it's a good video. If you're a writer, you need to title. I don't know. A lot of people said it was helpful for them, so that's really great. But I essentially already had this one that I'd mentioned in that video. So it's in my notes where I have the titled ongoing note that I talked about a whole lot. In that video, I shared all of the ideas with you that I have that you're not welcome to steal, but I don't think any of you would. And basically on there, I had an ode to ... So for this book, I was sort of looking through this as I do and seeing if any of them could apply to this story. And I've also had the name Amity on my character name list, which I talked a little bit about in my writing a new book video where we were writing Project Princess. And Amity was one of the names that I have recently discovered and fallen in love with. And it essentially means a healthy relationship. So that name, once I looked it up, I was like, that is her. And An Ode to Amity is the book that she writes. So it's a little bit ironic, but she writes their love story and a story of acceptance that she's never had in her real life. So it is almost a memoir because she self-inserts like unapologetically in it because she needs to tell her story. And An Ode to Amity is like an ode to her good relationship and finally finding happiness. And this book, my book, An Ode to Amity, is is going to encapsulate recognizing Amity as a character who has gone through terrible things and how it is possible to go above what has happened to you and thrive and break free from your past. So I think it's a very special title. I'm very proud of the title, and I think it goes so perfectly with the contents of the book in many different ways. With that being said, I hope you guys like it. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'm happy to have used another one of the titles on my little list I shared with you guys. That is not the only strategy I talked about in that video, though. If you've seen it, you know I also sometimes do my little word scramble method where I come up with a bunch of words. That was not necessary in this case, which honestly I'm glad for, because I love using my list of titles that I already have. I also do love using the main character's name in the title. As you guys know, I have Saturn's Sun, which the main character of that is Saturn. And I also have A Girl Called Love, which is about a girl called Love. It's definitely not something I always do, but names are a big part of my writing. Something Nameless is literally one of my book series, is the Nameless series. So they do mean a lot to me, and my own name means a lot to me. So yeah, random tidbit of information for you about me and my writing journey. I have really enjoyed talking to you guys about this project, and I do think it's going to be the one that we pursue next, because if you've seen my currently last video when I'm filming this, which I posted on Saturday, which was yesterday, about my 2024 writing wrap up, recap, whatever you want to call it, I talked about two main new projects other than Project Princess, which are Righting Wrongs and an Ode to Amity. So I do think I'm gonna go after an Ode to Amity first, because it's the one that I'm really feeling that sort of like need to get out of me, and I feel it more than I do for Project Princess at this point. So I don't know, guys. I don't know when we're gonna see that one come to life, but I do have chapter 1 written, so that's something. Unfortunately, and I do say this truthfully, unfortunately, I have to move back to my apartment pretty soon. Not that I ever moved out, but I've been home for Christmas since December 6th, I think, so it's been a while, and I have to go back to school, which it's literally haunting me. It's making me have nightmares. I hate school. I would say I'm very privileged to be able to go to school, which I am, but I have to spend so much of my money on it that I earned, my hard-earned cash, and it just all goes down the drain to that education that I don't need nor want. I do want it, or else I wouldn't be doing it, but this is a minor tangent about my schooling. I'm very happy that I'm able to go to university, but at the same time, I'm not getting a whole lot out of it in terms of like classes. They're not very good, and yeah, I am not looking forward to pouring my entire heart and soul into 1,000 essays again, because it's very draining and it does take away from my writing, even though we were able to do NaNoWriMo. Watch the videos and the iCards, but yeah, I did do NaNoWriMo, was able to finish a lot of books last year, but I'm still worried about how it's going to impact my motivation and productivity for a lot of different things, but I promise I'll be here for you guys. Hopefully posting. I promise. If that changes, I'll post about it in the community tab, I promise. But what I was going to say is that I don't know if I'm even going to start writing the book right now, or if I just needed to have this conversation with you guys about it. I have shared a lot of the quotes and stuff, so I hope that that satisfies your craving for hearing this book. If you watched my recent video of writing Project Princess and reading you guys chapter 1, that was a very similar format to what I feel like this could get into, and so we're not going to do that yet. So we're not going to do me writing the entirety of chapter 1 and reading it to you guys, because I will do that, but it's not going to happen yet because we just did that recently. So I'm going to give it a little bit of time to simmer with me spending time with this idea and really making it come to life in my brain and on the page. It is a very dark theme, and with that being said, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about Righting Wrongs, because it's a bit of a happier romance theme and like book and aesthetic and atmospheric book, rather than a dark and like, I don't know the word to say it, realistic, but also, I don't know the words, almost tragic book. This one is definitely more tragic in many different ways and deals with very, very real things. And I don't necessarily want to bring you guys down. Not that I think reading the book will be a huge downer for anybody if they've, you know, properly read the trigger warnings for themselves and understand them. But I think I am going to share a little bit about the other idea I recently got, like within the same 48 hours of this one. It's definitely not lighthearted, whereas this new one that I'm about to talk about is very lighthearted. The problems that this main character is going to deal with are very like simple and a little bit silly, definitely in comparison to Amity. So let's talk about righting wrongs, which I did also talk about as a title in that titling video, and I had a vague idea for that. I knew it was going to be a book about an author, and recently I got the idea that it's gonna be about a young teen author who is thrown headfirst into fame. And that's not something a lot of authors deal with, but because she is so young and her book goes so incredibly like viral and successful, she's gonna be a public figure as well as an author, and so she's able to get her own house at a very young age. She's able to get a very nice house, and it's gonna be in the middle of the woods, very like in like a swamp, not a swamp, but like a ponded area with lots of greenery, moss, and like some maybe koi fish or something in the pond, and a very like rustic wooden house that is very dark aesthetic and very inspiring to her for her writing. I haven't figured out exactly what she's gonna write yet to be like this big breakthrough series, but it's gonna be something that's just like simple, to be honest. Like I'm not probably gonna insert any of my own projects into her because she already has a lot in common with me in terms of her age and her passions, but that's besides the point. She ends up having a live-in editor with her that she doesn't want, but her agent essentially is like, I am not taking on this next new project that you want to diverge to unless you live with this editor and you get it to be better. Because she has this like very wistful energy around her writing still, and she's not really ready to make it like this super intensive serious thing where she gives over control. But her editor is not who he says he is, and it's a romance book, so it's gonna be kind of fun. He's essentially secretly like her bodyguard, and she doesn't know that because she would be furious if she knew that she had a bodyguard hired for her by her agent. But yeah, it's sort of gonna be not an enemies to lovers, definitely like they're not gonna get along perfectly at the beginning, but yeah, I think it's gonna be fun for me to write, especially like the atmosphere of it, the setting, and the dynamic between two characters. It's gonna be a very character driven story, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. You guys know that I don't write a lot of standard romance. I've written Saturn's Son and I've written A Girl Called Love. A Girl Called Love is one of my favorite books ever in the whole world, but my favorite of my books for sure. And it's more of a mystery romance, whereas Saturn's Son is very just romance, but I always like to add a little element of surprise into my books, and of course there's going to be one of those in Righting Wrongs. So yeah, can't wait. The title for that one is also super important to the content, and that is, it's spelled like writing a book and then wrongs. So she's writing wrongs in her past while also writing the wrong book because her agency really wants her to write her series, and she's like, nope. I'm writing what I want to write, which I think is a very powerful message, honestly, because even though she's young, she should be able to write what she wants, especially with the success that she has. And if people want to read, they can, and if they don't have to. But I think is a little bit of something I connect with her on a huge level is she cares less about the success and more about enjoying what she's writing and putting out books that she personally feels need to be told, like the stories need to be told over top of what the industry wants from her, which I think is just really cool and something that almost needs to be said, because Whew, if you know anything about the industry lately, yikes. Anyway, that's righting wrongs. I haven't done any Pinterest board or playlists or anything for that, or even like a note in my notes app, but soon it will be, maybe, or I'll save it for later when I need a little book. And yeah, I do think that it's a good chance that An Ode to Amity is my first finished book of 2025. I'm so excited about it, and although it is very dark, I'm ready to take on all of those feelings and all of that passion that needs to be put into that book to get it right. And yeah, definitely one that's heavy on my mind lately. To finish this video off, I'm going to show you some of the pins that I've really resonated with on Pinterest, and some things that also will be like plot points for you, so you get a little bit more insight into An Ode to Amity. And I did already show you the Pinterest board, I know, but I'll show you it in a little bit more depth and just like the ones that really stand out to me. Again, I'm so grateful that you guys are liking these videos with me talking about my projects, because they're my favorite videos to watch. And also, I just really appreciate that you guys have acknowledged my transparency, because it's something that I really aim to strive for in my channel. And yeah, I really like and I'm happy that you guys notice and are liking hearing about my work, because being a writer is lonely. We all know that, but it makes me feel very connected to you guys to be able to share this stuff, and I really hope to keep doing nothing but that for the future. But also know that my content isn't always going to be me sitting here and telling you about my latest project. I also will be doing more tips videos, or more like challenge type things where like I write for 12 hours, or I don't know. I have a lot of ideas that I want to put out there, obviously, and a lot more of my like opinions as well, because if you saw my authortube hot takes, I have a lot more of those when it comes to actually writing, so stay tuned. That video was received interestingly, as I knew it would be, or I speculated it might be, but I don't care. I like starting a conversation. I like starting a conversation as long as it's, you know, helpful and good, and I think that one really was. So let's get into pins, because it's gonna be a little bit random, but hear me out. Hear me out. This, for some reason, reminded me of Amity. It's the last pin I saved to this board. It's a bug in her hand. I feel like she's gonna have a very strong connection to all living things. Sort of like Love from A Girl Called Love, but Love mostly liked like animals with fur. So cats, squirrels, stuff like that. Whereas I think Amity is gonna be very connected to everything. Plants, bugs, little critters, all that. I think that's a really cool little quirk for her. She has a lot of those, which a lot of my main characters do. But another one is that she loves her tea. I really want to make it a point that at this new psychiatric ward that she's put into, the good one, she is treated very well, and she is able to make her little teas that way that she likes them, with a lot of good like ingredients and stuff like they purposely have for her, because they know it makes her happy. And then dried roses, because she's never got flowers before, obviously. She's been very alone her whole life, and she's gonna get flowers. Spoiler alert. I have a little bit about her style, and that is like these tights. I like the little like gothic vibe of them and the detail. She's very like artistically minded, obviously. And also I have a little romance picture of them at a graveyard. So some shoes at a graveyard. Don't mind the ring light shadow. I also have Mr. To Be Named tattoos. I'm not gonna show you too close up, but just know he's gonna be tatted up like I like the men, like I like them. And I also have this, which is her cutting her hair for the first time, like I mentioned. Some little quotes. A spiral staircase. I don't know why, like certain little elements will remind me of the setting, and I just save them so that I can include them. I have this one that's symbolic of like their ghosts, because whether the ghosts are there or not, they see them and they are connected. So that's really cool, because they're connected in multiple planes of the universe, which I think is awesome and really interesting to explore. And then I have some inspiration for the not so good, very terrible in fact, psychiatric ward that she's been placed in before. So we don't need to show you guys that. It's gonna be kind of sad, so not really necessary right now, but this is my inspo for the main character so far. He's gonna be blonde. blonde slash brunette, and glasses, because I think that's really hot. Yeah, he just is really hot in my head, okay? I would never write a main character who wasn't attractive to me. I'm sorry, it has to be. This picture was very inspirational to me. You can't really see it because it's very dark, but essentially it's just a pair of feet descending the side of a building and then a girl descending the side of the building together, and they are sort of climbing down this pole to escape. So expect some midnight expeditions from their psych ward that they're in, and they're gonna find a lot of joy out there in the forest. So yeah, they're being bad, but in the end it's good for them. I also have this picture, which is tile floors and they're flooded. So I was thinking maybe the reason that she was removed from her previous like institution, hospital, is that she was trying to get moved and kicked out of there because it's obviously a really awful place and she wanted to be transferred. So she's maybe flooded the place. I don't know, man. I don't know what would have got her moved, but I'm gonna figure it out. And also maybe just let out of there. Like, her parents finally acknowledged it, even though they're not the greatest of people. So yeah, that's what we're thinking. I don't know if maybe even her parents kick her out of the house and she's scheduled to already move into this new institution, the good one. Like the next day they're coming to retrieve her and she's so scared of it that kind of leads her to the graveyard. I don't know. She doesn't want to be trapped in that situation again though, and I know that for sure. So that might be something that I utilize, if that's the right word. I feel like I'm treading on very thin ice with these topics, and I'm sorry if it's like my words are incorrect or whatever, but it is my book and the topics I'm choosing to write about. So although my wording right now might not be the best in terms of like articulating the severity of it, I am trying. There's no script for any of these videos, so I'm just saying what's coming to me, and I hope that it's kind of making sense to you guys in a very like serious yet fictional way, because it is a fictional book. And yeah, I hope it's just making enough sense to you guys. I just hope that it's appropriately sensitive and received that way, if that makes sense. Because a lot of books deal with these topics. I'm not saying I'm doing anything that hasn't been done before, but yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel, okay? That's how I feel. I'm not making any sense today. I also am a very like lighthearted person, so like my delivery on certain things will be more upbeat than maybe is what's needed. But again, this is one of my books and I'm very passionate about my books, so I hope that makes sense regardless of the topics that are being explained. And I don't think I've done anything like incorrectly here. I think I've articulated it pretty well, if I do say so myself, but I'm just making sure to clarify some things. I'm basically making this a nightmare for myself to edit, and that's okay, because most of my videos are a nightmare to edit, but that's okay. I don't mind. I think that I'm gonna spend some more time with this project, and then eventually we will get together again and start the writing and the plotting, most importantly. And between then and now, I hope to make a lot of videos for you guys again about like some of my writing tips, some of my goals, maybe some little challenges like I said. And yeah, I just really hope to continue this momentum of posting things that make me happy and seeing that you guys also receive them really well. So thank you so much again, and I can't wait to chitty chat again about something else writing related. I was considering making this Tuesday's video a book video where I did ranking every book I read this year, but I don't know that I want to diverge yet from writing. Now that I've sort of locked in with it as my like main niche on the channel, that's what I've always wanted. I don't really want to like, you know, it sounds weird, but like shift my audience so quickly, you know what I mean? Although a lot of writers are also readers, pretty much all of us are. I don't know if you guys are into book videos. Let me know if you'd be interested in that, because I have a lot of opinions to share about books that are not my own. And yeah, I would love to make those videos. I just don't know if people will like them or if even I will like making them, so we'll see what I end up doing. Just like I mood write and mood read, we're gonna be mood making content, and I'll make things that make me happy and that I think you guys will like too. The sun appears to be setting and it's 3 o'clock. Not a big fan of winter. I really hope that you guys are interested in the 2 new book ideas that I talked about today. I know I focused mainly on An Ode to Amity because that was the one that I had originally recorded and felt really like connected to right off the bat. And I felt like I needed to talk to you guys about it right away because it's obviously very like prevalent for me right now in my like writing journey, whereas righting wrongs is just an idea, which I get those all the time. Let me know if this project is something that you guys want to see me dive deeper into. I know that for a lot of people it might be a little bit too heavy, but I promise I won't ever make it so that videos are unwatchable. Like, I'm not gonna share quotes about her actually doing anything to hurt herself or anyone else hurting themselves. I promise I won't do that to you guys. I will obviously have to write some really hard scenes in this book, but I'm not gonna trigger anyone with the scenes I'm sharing, because if you choose not to read the book, that's completely fine. Like, that's completely understandable. And I'm gonna try and make the videos, you know, pretty like positive and happy still, regardless of what we're, you know, taking on. So I'll be talking a lot about characters, dialogue, and, you know, settings, little scenes that I add, but I'm not gonna really go into the dark stuff beyond this video where I was sharing, you know, the plot, the vague plot. So don't be too worried about that. But again, if anything I ever think will be like triggering to certain viewers, of course I will like give you a warning and you can click off or make your own choices based on that. But I can't wait to write this book. I can't wait to write all the books I'm gonna write in 2025, and by the time you guys are watching this, I think it's gonna be Tuesday. So I hope that you have a great New Year's Eve and a happy New Year, and that you feel really happy and ready to move into the new year. And if you're not happy, I hope that things get better for you. I'm definitely very stressed out going into the new year, but I have a lot of hope and a lot of things like these book ideas that are sort of pushing me forward. So I think it's going to be a good one, and I can't wait to get started with you guys and obviously keep up with YouTube, because it's one of my main goals at the moment and for the entire year and for my whole life, because I want this to be my career. So I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you're here with me. Bye bye. I'm gonna give you another blown kiss because I feel like that's how I always end my videos, okay?